Hello everyone, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
So before everyone joins, have you guys got any kind of doubt regarding any topic? Any questions, guys?
No, sir.
Are you guys going through recordings and all after the class? It's recommended, right? Basically, sometime what happens is you will not get everything in the class. Once you reiterate it, you will get the clarity, right? So basically, if you are not doing that, just try to go once, at least once. Okay. Okay. So we were understanding system testing yesterday. We understood what is end-to-end scenarios, correct? And how to do the end-to-end testing, correct? Yesterday.
Yes, sir.
So can anyone tell me just one end-to-end scenario, whatever you have seen in your day-to-day life in any of the software or any of the business that will work? कोई भी end-to-end scenario होता. Anyone? Like that Facebook block unblock feature, that FedEx cancel parcel feature, that OD feature, right? This is an end-to-end business flow. Can you tell me any end-to-end business flow, whatever you have faced? You should be able to think actually. Anyone? No one? Okay. Everyone is using Amazon, Flipkart, something like that, right? Or Swiggy, Zomato.
Yes, sir.
So what used to happen, right? Sometimes people used to order and then they try to cancel it. Correct? So what does Amazon do when they cancel the parcel when it is in between the way? What does that Amazon do? If they have done the payment and they're canceling the parcel, Amazon gives the refund, correct?
Yes, sir. Refund.
So this could be an end-to-end scenario when you try to basically uh, order something and when it got dispatched, you try to cancel it. So you have to check whether the refund is happening or not. One more popular example I'll give. Have you came across that Ola, Uber, Rapido kind of application? Anytime? Yes, no, anything?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Cool. So the basic idea is that we used to do this, right? We try to book the ride, and sometime what happens, we need to change the drop location in between the ride, correct? So basically, that time the application will auto check the distance, and it will give you a new estimated amount, correct? So that could be also an end-to-end scenario wherein you try to book a ride and try to basically try to you change the drop location in between and try to check whether the actual amount now which is being showing is as per the requirement or not. Got the understanding? Do you want few more examples to get it clear, or is it clear now? Yes, no, guys, anything? More examples, or is it clear? These are the frequently used applications, no? So I guess this might help you guys. Okay. Now we have understood the first half of the definition. What is system testing? System testing is saying it is an end-to-end testing. The second half is saying in a test environment. Third half is saying which is similar to the production environment. We said that we will divide this particular definition in three parts and then we'll try to understand. So we understood what is end-to-end testing yesterday. Basically, it is navigating through required number of module and check whether the software is capable of handling that particular real-time business scenario or not. Basically, on a higher level, if you want to understand this thing, is basically try to mimic a particular real-time scenario, which software will be facing when you move the software to the live. So these are the scenarios, and we'll be having a definite end result which should be according to the requirement after simulating, after mimicking all that particular scenario. While we mimicking, you will navigate through required number of features and you will create that scenario in the software under testing only basically. And then we try to actually check the end result is as per the requirement or not. Isn't it? Isn't that what we understood yesterday? Yes, no, guys, speak up.
Yes, sir.
Cool. So abhi dekho, let's try to understand the second half and third half of of the definition. What is system testing? We understood what is end-to-end testing. We had to understand like what is test environment and production environment, and why exactly it is saying that test environment should be similar to production environment. In order to understand this test environment and production environment, first we need to go through types of application. Types of application and what are servers. Okay, so we'll try to understand what is application first. Okay, in day-to-day life, like what is happening, right? You have to basically see a lot more applications which might be running over the internet or which might not be running over the internet. So you can bifurcate the application in three different types. First one is standalone application. Second one is server based or web application. And third one is client server based application. There is one more called hybrid application, which is widely used nowadays. But first understood these three, then we'll come to next. Okay. Now, first one is standalone application. Standalone application is those kind of application which does not need a internet and a server to function. Internet nahi lagta hai. Basically, even if you turn off your internet, you will be able to use that particular application. What are the examples of this application? Can someone tell me? What are the softwares you can use without internet?
Notepad.
Sorry, can you come again? Too hard to catch
Sir,
up.
Notepad.
Notepad, correct. Notepad, your calculator, etc., etc. So these are the application which can be used, which are basically not depending on any other functionality, uh, any other structure. So basically here, that's why it is known as standalone application. It will be in both, like in mobile phones and in computers, any of the platform you can see, there will be a lot more standalone application you would be able to see there. Okay, so basically mobile application, you can take an example of your calculator, your laptop, you can take an example of your notepad or your basically MS Word file, Word applications like WordPad or something like that. So these are the standalone applications. Coming up to the web applications. Web applications are those applications which you need to access through your browsers. Likewise, if I type here Amazon.com, Amazon.in, let's not take that Amazon thing because that comes under hybrid. Why it is stuck? Let's take PAN card website, online NSTL website. Okay, so this is an example of web application. So this is a web page basically. Those applications which you will be only able to use through your browsers, those applications are categorized under web applications. Why we are saying that this is a web application? Because we don't have a dedicated client side application in your devices for this website. If you go to the Play Store, App Store, or any of the website wherein you try to download the application for this website, you will not be able to find it, right? And the only thing you'll be able to do basically able to access this particular application through your web browser. Now what exactly web browser do here? Let's go to Paint and try to understand. let's try to be a little bit more creative here. I'll tell you the structure of basically application on a higher level, just for the understanding of things. Okay, what happens, right, when you go to your browser? Let's say this is your browser. This is your browser. I'm not able to type. Okay, there's a lag. Someone asked some question. Is it? I think my laptop is acting weird. Can you guys listen to me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Hello. Can you guys listen to me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
No.
sir.
I'm sorry for the inconvenience. I got dropped off. I think someone asked something, right? Request and response, correct? Yes, you are correct. So this is your browser. Uh, I'll draw the diagram first. You can see the diagram, right? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Let's take this thing as an application server, and then we'll make some app servers. I'm very bad at drawing and painting. Sorry for that in advance, but yeah. Then we'll have some database servers and all, right? Okay, we'll name it first, and then we'll start with our request response thing. Myntra, MYNTRA, right? That's it.
Yes, sir.
DB server. Okay. Oh my god, this diagram is, oh my god, this is worst. But you will get what I'm trying to say. I'll explain.
Interconnecting to each.
Yes, I'm actually not exactly interconnecting. It is connected over the internet, but these lines stands for request and response. We'll get through it in a minute. Okay, so these line, one you can take it as a request, another you can take it as response. So what exactly happens when you go to your browser and search for a URL? Basically, you will, whenever you use your browser, you can see that there is a URL, right? This is an URL on an online service in nsdl.com, something like that, right? So what happens, right? This says a route, or this says that it is giving exact address where your request is going exactly. Okay, Here online service.nstl is basically a domain, and then it is telling me what kind of domain it is .com, and then we are having some sort of path where exactly the request is going or from where exactly the response is coming exactly. Okay, so what happens exactly when you go to your browser and search for anything like amazon.com or something like that, your browser will help creating a request from your end. It will create a request with all of your data that your machine is having, like this windows and you're using this browser, because the response for different platform might be different. You would agree on this, right? For an example, there is a person who is using the browser through the laptop, then he should get a different response mainly. And person who is basically trying to access Amazon through the mobile app, the response would be different for that particular person, right? So it is necessary for us to send our details to the server basically to get the correct response. So what browser used to do, browser used to help us creating that particular request from our end, that I want Amazon, and I want Amazon, and I'm using this particular platform. So this request will go to first web server. Web server is basically internet server. What is the job of internet server or web server? Anyone who has the understanding? I think someone has the understanding of this architecture. Anyone? Rakesh? What web server do? So web server, if you don't know for now, web server is like a traffic hawaldaar. What he needs to do, web server needs to route the correct requirement to the correct application server. Now what happens, right? Every company like Amazon, Myntra has their own dedicated server wherein they have their own application. For an example, if you go and search for amazon.com, amazon.in, the response you are getting, this page you are getting is from dedicated Amazon server. Amazon, Jeff Bezos have made a server for Asia or India, whatever you call it, and they have this particular application inside it, and we are getting this from that particular server. Obviously, we don't have this Amazon page in our laptops, right? It is coming from somewhere. That somewhere is exactly a server. Okay, got it? So what exactly server is? What exactly server is? We have seen this in multiple sci-fi movies and all, right? What does server? You have seen this image, right? You have seen these kind of images or these kinds of like movie shots earlier, right? These
Yes.
kind wherein a lot of machines are interconnected with wires with each other, right? So what exactly these things are? These things are nothing but a CPU interconnected to each other to make a bigger machine, which can handle a number of requests from many users. For example, if you are using this browser and you are basically searching amazon.com, what do you think at that particular second, how many people are searching amazon.com from your native areas? Lakhs, right? Lakhs of people would like use Amazon at the same time. Let's take an example of YouTube. What do you think? Particular person is using, how many particular person is using YouTube at the same time, at the 1 second second time, at the same second? How many people will send the request to the server? What do you think? There will be n number of people, lakhs of people who will be using YouTube at the same time. That for that sake, this YouTube server needs to be that strong that can handle that number of requests, analyze what exactly user wants, and process and give the right response to the users. Correct? Am I clear,
Yes,
guys?
sir.
So the thing is that not everyone wants YouTube, not everyone wants Amazon, not everyone wants Myntra. Maybe for an example, if 7 people are lined up and trying to hit this web server, first the web server needs to identify which exactly application server needs to be routed, that request needs to be routed. How that particular web server will get what exactly application server that needs to be routed? with the help of the request, wherein you give that Amazon or whatever the domain name is there. Amazon, if it is Amazon site, you can see that there is Amazon written at the beginning of the URL. If it is Facebook, the domain name will be Facebook, something like that. If you are trying to search Google, the domain name will be Google. Depending upon that request from your end, the web server will analyze your request, will try to analyze what exactly domain you are looking for or what exactly application server you are looking for, and it will route your request to that particular server. Got it? Yes, no, anything?
Yes, sir.
Now, what does application server do? Now, the job of application is to analyze your request, because even if I am using your Amazon, right? Even if I'm using your Amazon, I might do what? I might need something, and some other people who is using Amazon, that particular person might need a different thing. For an example, if I click mobile section, it will trigger a request wherein it will tell application server that I need mobile landing page. For an example, other person has clicked this fashion section and he needs a different response. So what does application needs to do? Analyze your request, what depending upon whatever. Basically what happens, right? When you click anywhere and when you try to do any actions, that will trigger a request from your end. You are not directly telling the application server what exactly you want, but your gesture do that, right? If I'm clicking on this mobile section, it is basically my browser is doing what? My browser is simulating a request, my browser is creating a request that will have this information that I need a mobile landing page. And then application server will basically do what? Analyze my request, create a response which is nothing but this, and then send it to me. Okay, and then I'll be able to see this long landing page in my browser. Okay, but while carrying out the data is not in the form of this pages. Data is not in the form of this pages. Data is like this, I'll tell you. Data is in the form of API responses. What is API? API is application programming interface. This is how you get the data. Where is that network tab? Yeah. So these are the, as this particular application is live, they will not open all of the API due to the security purpose. There are some API. You can see that whenever you click it, the API got changed and you can see different API, right? It will also show you how many milliseconds it took from the to carry that data from server end to your end. Okay, so these are the APIs. You can see that there is a lot more data. So data will be in the form of these things, right? Text, these texts and all. So what exactly browser do? Browser also sends the data in this text form with the help of API. Look, you can see that here there is a cookie ID, and this is something related to the security. This is basically your origin from where you have given the basically request and then refresh. Basically, this is more technical, but you can understand in this way. The data will be carried like this with the help of this nothing but your API. Okay, the URLs. Now this data, if we get this kind of response, we'll not be able to understand what we are trying to do. We need something like this in the form of pages and in the form of graphics and in the form of text, mixture of it, right? If I give you, instead of this view, I give you this view, you will not be able to understand what is happening, correct? User will not be able to understand. So this particular thing needs to get converted in this way, and that your browser do. Okay, so what is the job of browser here in the web application? Try to create a request from your end and then send it to the server. Server will process it, generate a response from you. When the response comes, it needs to be like converted in a presentable form. Got the understanding, guys? Also, when you taps on it, you create a request, right? That request also needs to be done in this way. You can see that there is a lot more data here. So basic idea is that the request will also need to be converted in this way to get to the server. This way, the transferring of data is way more easier than sending the pages itself. Okay, so that's why we are using this way. So we are sending some sort of data with the help of APIs, and then basically, now I don't want to show you this part, but yeah, this is how exactly it goes. This is the response. This is how exactly the data comes. Okay, that then it got converted into this way. Okay, are we clear, guys, what I'm trying to say? So what is the net, what is the job of a browser in web application? Basically, it will provide you a platform to interact with the server side application. Secondary, when you try to ask for an application, it will or anything, and when you try to do anything in the application, it helps you to generate a request and send it to the server, and vice versa of it. Basically, that particular server sends the response to you, then it needs to be more presentable to you. That job is done by server. Are we clear on this?
Yeah.
Any
Yes, sir.
question? Any questions around it? Now, one more thing. If you see it here, where is that Amazon landing homepage? If you see it here, right? This is Amazon homepage. No, let's take the example of your Instagram. Everyone is using Instagram.
Yes, sir.
So when you use Instagram, the structure of that page will be same for every user. Like everyone will get that home button at the bottom and profile button at the right side bottom, and then stories at the top, correct? And then messages at the right top. So the moral of the story which I'm trying to explain here is the application response will come from the server, but the data which needs to fill in that particular frame will be different for the different user, correct? If I am the user, I am getting logged in into Instagram, I need to see whatever I used to follow, right? If whatever pages I used to follow, I need to see that particular data. And if you are logging in the Instagram, the application interface remains same, but the data inside that frame needs to be generated according to your account, correct? Getting my point?
Yes.
So so that particular data will come from database server. Database server is basically responsible for that data and everything related to data. Okay, so are we clear on this architecture? Yes, no, anything, guys?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Everyone, right? Cool. Now let's take up to the next part. Let's take this next part, which is nothing but your client server based application. Now client server based application will have two applications. We have only one application here, which is there in the server side, and we are accessing through our browsers, right? You can see it here. This is your browser. This helps you create a request and get the response and make it more presentable to you, right? So basically this server used to have that application, Amazon application. For an example, we are opening browser. We did it, right? We are opening browser here and we are clicking, we are searching Amazon.in. So this application is basically on the server side. Nothing is there in our end, correct? Is it fair to say that nothing is there from our end? It is there in the server side. This whole application is there in the server side, correct or not?
Yes.
Basically, it happens like this. But when you talk about your client server application, there will be a dedicated client side application in your device, and there will be one more application which is there in the server to get the response and to get the request and generate a response and send it to you. Now the job of client side application to make your response more presentable and generate a request from your end. It means basically whatever the browser is doing, now a dedicated client side application will do that. What is the example of it? What is the example where
Amazon application.
Amazon application, Instagram
We
application
use in
in
mobile.
your device, right? Which whatever application
Yes.
you have downloaded from Play Store and App Store, it is nothing but a client side application. Client side application means what? Whatever you are trying to search and whatever you're trying to get inside that application, it is not there inside it, right? it needs to come from some server end. Correct. For an example, if your another person is sharing a status in WhatsApp, you open your WhatsApp, you go to status section, you can able to see that. Now that person haven't shared directly, haven't basically um, transferred that status from Bluetooth or something like that to you, right? It is coming from server. So basic idea is that there will be also a server side application which used to like handle your request and basically generate a response and send it to you. And there will be also a client side application. Client are you, basically client are us, which are the consumers, and server is basically which serves the consumers. Okay, so we in case of client server application, will have a dedicated client side application which will help us to basically generate a request and get the response and basically put the response in a presentable way. But for this, earlier we used to have in the earlier concept, we used to have browsers, but now for this we used to have a particular dedicated client side application. Okay, are we
Yes.
clear? Everything remains same, just this browser will be replaced, and it will be like it will be a dedicated client side application. And if it is a dedicated client side application, basically you are not able to use, obviously if you are downloading WhatsApp, you will not be able to use Amazon server with the help of WhatsApp, right? You will be only able to use WhatsApp with that. Browser, you will be able to use multiple server side application, but with the dedicated client side application that's meant for that, right? You will be able to use that particular application server. Okay, that particular dedicated application which is there in the server for that particular client side application. Get the understanding, everyone?
Yes.
Cool. Now any questions before we move ahead? I'm trying to explain you one more concept here after that, but any questions still here? Anyone? Anjali, Ashish?
No.
No, sir.
No. Namrata, Neha, Paramjeet, Rakesh, Ritika? No, right? Cool. So basic idea is that these are all this is how we used to operate in our day-to-day life. Either you use your client side application or you use your web browser in order web browsers in order to use the application, right? And these two applications needs to have an internet connection and a server both together in order to operate these two type of application, right? The architecture is like that because there is one application in the server side, and either you use the at the other end, either you use the browser or a specific client side application for to access that particular server side application. So that needs an internet. Your request, your data will go through the internet only in order to reach this particular server. Okay, cool. Now there is one more type of application which is called as hybrid application, or those application which acts as both the client side application and server side application. Sorry, the client side application which has both the client side application and your web browser. With the help of web browser, you will be able to access that application. That is hybrid application. Okay, so can we have any example of the both hybrid basically?
WhatsApp.
Sir, Amazon.
Amazon is there, WhatsApp and WhatsApp web is there, Snapchat web is there, and Snapchat dedicated application is there. Most of the application, right? Well, Telegram web is there. So most of the application nowadays operate in this way, right? It used to offer both web application and basically your client side application in order to reach to maximum people. So this happens, but there are certain applications which is dedicatedly client side or which is dedicatedly web applications. Most of the your government website, you will not find a dedicated client side application. You can't find any application which you can download from Play Store or App Store. Like your PAN card website, which we have gone through earlier, that website doesn't have a PAN card application, right? It doesn't offer a PAN card application, correct?
Yes,
Have
sir.
you So the basic idea is that you it's just a purely web browser based application. What is a purely web server, client server based application, which can't be played in a browser, or which can't be used with the help of browser?
Yes.
Basically, have you came across this game called BGMI or PUBG?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
most of the these kind of games, no, these kind of games can't be used with the help of browser due to the latency issue. If you use this particular games in with the browser, that time browser will take a lot of time to like generate a request and get the response, and then basically make it more presentable, because the whole game is so heavy. And also the request and response time should be in 60 millisecond, 50 millisecond. Getting my point? That amount of
Yes.
time can't be reached with the help of browsers. You can't use those application in browsers, but you can use it with the dedicated client application. What does client application do? Client application used to provide interface, whole interface in the application itself. You just need to generate, you just need to get the data from the server side. Means, for an example, let's take an example of this. Instagram only. So Instagram app has that frame or structure which is same for everyone, that is there in the application. Only the thing which is coming from server is the data which needs to render inside that frame. So it basically do what? It makes the application more faster. What do you think, what is more faster, which is which is getting the frame plus the data, from getting the frame plus the data from the server side and show it in the proper format with the help of browser, or having the basically your frame, the UI, all together as an application in your device and just rendering the data from the server side? What do you think, what is more easier or more faster? This part,
Client side application.
client side
Client
application is
side.
more faster, right? So basically that is the reason why the online games and all, which needs to give the response in milliseconds, is more over a client server based application, not the web applications. Okay, wherein the time matters a lot. Okay, now coming up to the hybrid one. Hybrid, you can see in a wider range in your industry, in your day-to-day life, it is there, very common. Most of the application nowadays, they are using hybrid. But yeah, let's like this, you understood these things, right? You understood what is server, you understood what is request and response, correct? You understood what all type of application you
Yes, sir.
have you have got. Now you can test either of the application. As a software tester, you might get either of the application to get tested, okay, from your end. So if it is a like a standalone application, you will get only one software from the developer end. You need to install it in your devices, you need to test that particular application, and every time, for an example, developer has done some sort of update, they will give you a newer version of the software. You need to uninstall the previous one, and then you need to install the newer one, correct? This is how it happens if you want to test that application, because application will be developed in these stages, right? So first they will generate the login page, then they will generate basically the home page, then they will generate a different module. The moral of the story is that if it is just the standalone application, you will get every time they do the update, you will get a fresh version of the software. You need to install the previous version and try to install the newer version. Coming up to this web server application, you will not get any kind of software file here, right? For an example, we used to see, right, if we download any of the software from Play Store, it is .apk file, and if you are using downloading it from App Store, it is .ipa file, correct? So these are the files, these are the client server side applications which we used to install in our devices. Okay, so the basic idea is that when you're using browsers or a web application, they will deploy the changes, they will give the changes in the server application, they will just interact with the server, they will just put the changes in the server, and you need to hit the same URL, you need to hit the same this URL and then basically you will be able to see those changes. So here you don't have to install, and you don't have to install anything explicitly. They will just tell you this URL is, they will just give you the URL. You just go to the browser, hit the URL, and you will be able to see the changes, and you will be able to see the application. You will be able to test it. Got the understanding? They will deploy the software in the server. There will be only one server side application. But when there is a client server based application, you will get two different software. One they will deploy in the server side, and another they will give it to you, the client side application. You have to uninstall this one and reinstall the new and install the newer one. Okay, every time they do the changes, they will give the changes on both the end, client side also and then server side also. So you need to again uninstall the previous one and reinstall the new one. Okay, are we clear on this part?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Cool. Let's if you have got till this, you have got everything. Now try to understand one more thing. In the like, basically, if you go over the industry and you try to analyze the industry, no, if you see that how day-to-day work happens, they used to give a dedicated server for developers, and they used to give a dedicated server for testers. Now why exactly we need a server? Obviously, if this application itself is designed in this way that it will work with a server, irrespective to whether it is a web browser application or client server application, if the application only works with the help of server, obviously we need a server to develop this kind of application and test it also, correct? Until and unless there will be no server wherein we'll install the software, correct? So
Yes, sir.
even while the development, developer and we, basically tester, needs a server, but we can't use the same server because there might be clash of work. Why there might be clash of work? For an example, I am trying to test the login feature, and under login feature the requirement is saying, they are saying that they have developed a login page with a username text field, password text field, your login button and cancel button. Okay, these four features. Now developer is trying, there is one more request from client to add one forget password link, and this haven't got any update in the requirement part itself. They just have a verbal communication with the client, and what developer is doing, developer is trying to do what, trying to implement that forget password thing now in login page. Meanwhile, parallelly, you are in the same server, you are accessing the same server application wherein you are trying to do what, you are trying to basically access the same application, and you are trying to validate whether it has the username text field, password text field, and then login button and cancel button. But now you are able to see something called as forgot password because developer is implementing that, correct? So you will raise the bug saying that, oh, I can see one more thing which is not there in the requirement, I'll raise the bug, correct? So there will be a clash of basically work if they both use same server, because meanwhile developer is developing something, you might test the same thing parallelly, and if it is the same server, their work and your work might get clashed, isn't it? Yes, no, anything?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Cool.
sir.
So basically what we used to do, we used to have a dedicated development server for developer, dedicated testing server for testers. And what exactly we need to do, basically they call their own environment, the developer call their own environment as development environment, and tester call their own environment as testing environment. What is that environment? Testing environment or development environment? Basically it is a combination of hardware, software, and a network. A network which used to connect the testers to the testing server, a hardware which used to which is there as a server. Basically, if you ask me on a higher level what is a server, I'll tell you it is just CPU interconnected with each other to process your request. Okay, so that is a hardware. And obviously if you are having a machine, right? For an example, you are having an laptop in front of you, that laptop is a machine. If you don't have an operating system, will you be able to, will that machine will be able to function or not? Obviously, it will not be functioning, correct? Getting my point? So first, that particular whole server needs to have an operating system, and once you have an operating system, you can like install your own software which you need to like work on there in that particular server. Getting my point? First there will be a machine and a network, and then they will install an operating system. Basically after that they can install their own software. For an example, we are trying to test Amazon, we can install Amazon software in that server and we are ready to test. Getting my point?
Yes,
Should
sir.
should I repeat? Anyone want me to repeat? No?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. One more time.
Okay, cool. What I'm trying to say here, from which device you are accessing this meeting?
Laptop.
Laptop.
Everyone please try to attend the meetings through laptop, because in mobile stream it's a little bit small screen. After seeing things for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, you will start getting irritated. So because the text will be a little bit more small. So for an example, you are having said that you are using a laptop is a machine, right? Laptop will have a basically different hardware component interconnected with each other to formulate this machine. For an example, your basically motherboard, your processor, your RAM, your ROM. These are the components. What are these? Basically the component of this particular machine called laptop. Okay. Now this machine will be dead. You will not be able to use this machine until and unless you get an operating system, which might be in your laptop. Mostly it could be a Windows operating system in your laptop, or you might be like very rich and you are using a MacBook. That time you might be having Mac OS. Okay. So basic
Yes, sir.
idea is that these two are the most common one. There are many operating systems. If you go, you can see a lot more like Linux, Unix, etc., etc. So basic idea is that until and unless you have this or don't have this operating system, you will not be able to use your laptop, your machine. Correct. So this particular operating system manages all your hardware and provide an interface for you to interact with those hardwares. Okay. Now coming up to this hardware thing, for an example, even though we have this particular operating system, we need to test Amazon, right? So we need to first install Amazon in our machines. The same goes to the server. So if you want, if for an example, it's a web browser application, you have a browser ready here, you have a server ready here. Until and unless you give this particular server that particular software which you want to access, how would you access? You need to install that server side application in this particular server, that server side Amazon application in this server. Then only this tester one will able to connect with that particular application and able to basically access. Correct. Then only the tester will see this kind of response in this particular in the browser screen. Getting my point? Yes. No?
Yes, sir.
So the basic idea is that this whole thing combinedly creates an environment for the application. If your application is there, the application will be living in this particular environment. The combination of that particular hardware, that particular network, and basically within that particular server. Okay. So the same thing happens to the development environment. Developer will have their own hardware, software, and a network so that they can connect with the server. And that particular server will be dedicatedly used for development. That's why it is called a development server. And then basically this particular server will be dedicatedly used to test the application. This will become a testing server. Now every time developer used to develop a new feature, they will create an application, server side application for that. Once they create it, they will just take the changes from the development server, put it in the testing server. Once they do the deployment, once they deploy the changes, they will tell you, okay, we have done the deployment, this is the URL. And then when you hit that particular URL, you'll be able to see the changes. Are we clear with the process?
Yes, sir.
Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Cool. Now
Yes, sir.
No, sir. Is it a no, sir?
Yes, sir.
That was a yes, sir. Okay. What I'm trying to say. Yes or no? You got it right.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So the basic idea is that there is a you understood why there is a need of having a different server for two different type like basically testers and developers, and how exactly it functions. Now basically try to understand one more thing here. There is one more need of a server here is why, because it makes the user remote. Remote means they can sit anywhere in the world and they can access this server. Like for an example, developer 1 is from India, developer 2 is from China, developer 3 is from Pakistan. Why they would write it here? Okay, but developer 4 is from UK. So basic idea is that they all can connect to this particular server and develop parallelly. They can do what, right? What exactly happens, right? They will develop the feature in their own local machine. They will write the program and they will dump the program. 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 And once they are all the programs are there in the app in the particular server, what they will do, they will create a software out of it, and then they will put that particular software in the QA server, and then we will hit this particular server and we'll try to access it and we'll try to test it. Are we clear?
Yes.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
Now same goes to testers also. Testers can be also from different places. It doesn't matter. Coming up to one more important thing. For an example, we have developed and tested an application for Jeff Bezos, your Amazon. Basically, developer has developed it. We have tested it. It is going for so many cycles, right? First they give us the login page. We tested the login page. Then they give the home page. Then they give different features. It took a long time. We developed and we tested it. Then we give this particular software to Jeff Bezos. Now Jeff Bezos will also need an application server to make it live to their end user, right? To Amazon users, right? He will also need a server, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So that server which customer used to make this particular application accessible for their end user. That particular, I'll repeat it one more time. That particular server which customer, our customer, IT's customer, IT company's customer, basically this in this example, Jeff Bezos needs to have a particular server which he will use to make this application which we give it to which we have given to him, make this application open for everyone. That particular server is called as production server. What we call it, like this particular server we call it as development server, this particular server we call it as testing server. The particular server which we use to run the application for real time, that server is called as production server. Got the understanding?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now coming up to the definition, it took a lot of hard work in order to understand this part, but let us understand. It is saying, the definition is saying, testing server, testing not server, sorry for that, testing environment which should be similar to production environment. What we need to do, we need to do this end-to-end testing, means mimicking that scenario and testing the end result, the real-time scenario. Basically, we need to do this end-to-end testing in a testing environment which should be similar to production environment. Why exactly it is saying that? Now for an example, there is a like upcoming Christmas holidays or New Year holidays we are getting. For an example, you went to Goa. Now when you are in beach, you find a goldfish. Okay, you find a goldfish, you actually did what? You actually took it home. That goldfish you took and you took it home and you kept it in a bowl, fish bowl. Okay, now the goldfish used to live in sea in a salty water. You are putting it in a fish bowl, and basically you are putting river water in there. What do you think, that goldfish will be surviving or it will be dead after some time?
He will be dead.
Goldfish will be dead, correct? Now the point is that goldfish faces a change of environment, the change of surrounding, and that leads to killing of that particular goldfish, right? The similar goes to the application. if you are testing an application, where is that? Yeah. If you are testing this application in a testing server which is not similar to the production server, right? If you are testing your application in a testing server which is not similar to production server, there might be chances the application will work beautifully here, but when you move it to the production, here due to the environment change, the application crashes or some part of the application is not working fine that time. Getting my point? What I'm trying to say? Because for an example, you are testing it in this environment. This environment is working fine, you have tested everything beautifully. When you move this application to production server, the whole server is designed in a different way, and once this particular server when the user start using this application in the server, application might not work properly. That's why it is bare minimum to test the application in a testing server which is similar to production server. Getting my point?
Yes.
Now try to understand one more thing, just last thing. If you are testing the application and it is under testing, what do you think how many tester will use the application for testing? 100, 200, 300, 1000, 10,000, correct?
Yes.
If it is Amazon, 10,000 people will have to use this particular server and test the application. The basic idea is that here the size of the server needs to be way more smaller, and when you move the application to the production server, the size of the server needs to be way more bigger than the testing server. Why? Because here the number of users which are using this Amazon website is way more greater than what we are using under testing, right? You would agree on this, right? If you move the Amazon server in production, 10,000, more than 10,000 people will use it right now. More than 10 lakhs people will use it right now. But on the same hand, when it was under testing, there might be hardly 1,000 people testing the Amazon, correct? So when it is saying similar to production server, it is definitely doesn't mean that it needs to be similar in terms of the size. Because if you go to the Amazon server, it is a huge server which might be there in a room building full of machines itself. So it will be building full of machines. So the as a software testing company, we don't want to invest that much on the server. So what used to do, we used to mimic the specification rather than that particular size. If you took that same goldfish, you put it in a fish tank with salty water, what do you think, will it be survive, or will that goldfish will be surviving or not?
Yes, sir.
It will be surviving, correct? The thing is that if you are testing in a testing server which is similar to the production server, might not be in terms of size but in terms of specification. What are the specifications? Same operating system, same hardware and software configuration. For an example, our production server is using Linux operating system with a processor of basically i9 basically. So that testing server also needs to have, let's say, only 3 CPUs or 4 CPUs, but all those machines should be in the same specification, working in the Linux operating system and also working with i9 processor. Then if you are testing it here, you can make sure it will work here. Are we clear on this?
Yes.
Everyone?
Yes, sir.
So this line, I think we got it. Basically, end-to-end testing in a test environment, which should be similar to production environment. It is an end-to-end testing in a doing in a test environment, which should be similar to the production environment. It is called system testing. For an example, you are doing the same end-to-end testing, but not doing it in a testing environment, which should be similar to production environment. It is not system testing. Okay. Got the understanding?
Yes, sir.
Cool. So this is like kind of an important testing. Why I'm telling you, we have understood other types of testing also, right? We have understood a functionality testing, we have understood integration testing. Why this is pretty much important than that two type of testing. In functionality testing, we will be touching different modules. If you are doing it on a one particular module, your test coverage will be for that particular module. In integration testing, you might touch two different modules, right? So you will test two different module, and the chances of getting a bug is in between two different modules. But when you are doing system testing, you will navigate through different features, right? If you are navigating through different features, the chances of getting the bug is higher. Why? Because you are touching different corners of the software, correct? There might be chances you are getting a bug in OD feature. Under OD, you might get it on repay OD or apply OD or OD balance or something like that. You are in order to do this system testing scenario, you are also testing pending OD. You are also doing amount transfer. So basic idea is that you will touch more and more feature in system testing. That makes the test coverage better than the any other type of testing you are doing, right? But can you do system testing at the beginning itself? The answer is no. Why? In order to test this whole functionality, you need each and every component working fine and integration working fine. I'll give you one example. If you are testing this OD feature only, the apply for OD link itself is dead. You haven't done functionality testing on that. Will you be able to create the scenario? Obviously, no. Secondary, when you apply for OD, that data goes to pending OD, and pending OD shows that data. For an example, this integration test is not done, and you are able to simulate the scenario. Basically, you will not be able to simulate the scenario, right? Because once you apply for OD, you will not see the request. Until you don't see the request, you can't approve that request and create the scenario, correct? So system testing is the third type of testing you will do on the application after functionality and integration for sure. Got the understanding? But this system testing gives you a lot of coverage. Okay. On the
So
other hand,
there should be a sequence, like first we will do a component, then integration, then we will come to the
yeah,
system.
correct. That these three is in the sequence only, which we are studying, right? First functionality, then integration, then system. Okay. Why? Because in order to do the integration testing, you need to make sure every component is also working. For an example, in this particular Gmail example, which we have gone through under system testing, if the send button, the mail compose sent button is not working, that time you will not be able to do integration testing for sure, right? So the basic idea is that first every component needs to work properly, then the data flow needs to work properly, then you will be able to create a end-to-end scenario and check it. Okay. Are we clear on this, guys? I took a lot of time on Saturday, but yeah, this
Yes,
is
sir.
important. Yeah, he's saying that yes, sir, you're taking a lot of time on Saturday.
No, sir, I said I understood.
You understood? Okay. Any questions, guys? We are getting shorter day by day in the class. I think people are not interested that much in theory classes. But yeah, whole manual testing is theory. I'll frankly speak that in front of everyone. That whole manual testing is theory and conceptual thing, right? Basically, if you see, right, till now, if whatever we have read, it's just a theory thing. It's just a concept. What makes it what makes you a better tester is basically how you utilize these concepts in your day-to-day life of your job, right? When you're deriving scenarios, how quality scenarios you are deriving, then how exactly you get to know that now what type of testing you need to do, what type of testing needs to be done in future, how you're planning things. So that makes you a better tester. So try to implement these things, right? First of all, you will get it over the experience, right? When to do this, when to do that kind of stuff, right? So try to implement this. Open up any random website, try to do integration testing, try to do a functionality testing, try to do system testing. Once you practice this, then you'll get confidence also, then you'll get to know how to apply this knowledge. Okay, this is needed, guys. Whatever I used to call out in the class, do this, do that, it is tested process where I have taught around more than 1,000 people in my life, and they are all are working. So I've seen over the period of time what people need in order to open their mind in terms of manual testing or anything. So these are the tested process. If you use it, you will definitely get benefits of it. Okay. So yeah, that's enough gyan for today, I guess. See you guys on Monday. I hope
Thank you,
hopefully
sir.
this is like useful to you guys. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Thank you everyone. Have a great
Thank
day.
you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Bye-bye.
Bye.